I remember we got in the car and he was like, can I drive? And I was like, oh, he about to drive me off a cliff, child. He gonna kill me. And so I was like, sure. And then he drove to a gas station, got out, went in, came back out with a bottle of water, and literally was like, if you're gonna have my baby, you need to stay hydrated. Never talked about it again. We never discussed an abortion ever again from that moment. It was just like, that was it.
Wow.
He just was like, he always tells me to this day, he's like, I'm so glad that you decided for us, because I was gonna do whatever you wanted to do anyway.
I don't got it all planned out, but you know, I just watch it all pan out, cause I know that you know, covered in this life until forever.
Ashley Chea.
Hi.
Wow. Welcome to the Cool Mom Code podcast.
I'm so glad you had me. I've been
the
waiting.
eye roll. Hold up. Not the eye roll. Not the eye roll.
Yes, I've been waiting for you to invite me, okay?
Yeah, right.
I was just waiting endlessly.
How long you been waiting?
Like forever.
No,
Since the first episode. I was
such-
like, why was I not your first guest?
Can we just put this out here that Ashley has a podcast of her own called
Yes.
the Mama's Den
And when are you
Podcast
coming
with
on?
4 wonderful women.
Yes.
And I have not been invited.
Yes,
not
you
once.
have.
No, I have not.
Literally.
I have not. No shade. No
Hold on.
shade.
This is a
no
lie from the
shade.
pits of
You
hell.
are a lie. You are a lie. And I saw, you know what's so crazy? You caught me up at a party and you were like, Lizzy, I did ask you. And I was like,
did.
you a lie.
Do
you
I
ain't
need to
asked
call
me.
Cody?
You need to call Cody.
Do I need to call her
on
live?
speakerphone right now.
Live speakerphone right now.
Put her on the spot. I want a Cody call
Okay,
right
fine.
now.
Let me call
Cody
her. She's
call.
probably in a meeting just for
There
clarity.
you go. It's
Oh,
gonna
let me
go straight to
call her.
voicemail. You know, it goes straight to voicemail when I call.
No, just shut
When you
up.
call,
Don't play
it
my
goes
friend
straight
like
in
that.
like the bad friend.
No, don't
Like
play
the
my
bad
friend
call.
like that. Hold on, let me call her.
Here we go.
Cody,
Cody.
you're on speakerphone and they're recording.
We are recording on the
so
Cool
nervous.
Mom Code podcast, Cody.
Wait, what'd she say?
What'd she say?
She just said she's recording the Cool Mom Code podcast. That's all.
You're live.
Yes, I know. Thank you for the legal acknowledgement.
You're welcome. So anything you say is recorded right now from here on out.
And Cody is a member and founder of the Mama's Den and Black
Podcast.
Love.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to give
Hello
the
there.
whole backstory on Cody. Cody, we're having a situation here. Ashley's on the Cool Mom Code podcast this morning, and Ashley said that you all have invited me on the Mama's Den podcast, and I told Ashley she's a damn lie.
I'm not lying. We have. And you know what? The producer hasn't called you officially, but we've all casually asked you.
Oh my God. Cody, do you see how this lie gets twisted when you get on the phone?
I do see a little twisting.
Do you
of
see that?
words here? But the sentiment is that we love Lizzy Mathis,
Yes.
and we would all love to have the Lizzy Mathis join us
Wow.
for the
Wow.
Mama's Den podcast.
I would just like to say you heard it here first on the Cool Mom Code podcast that I've been invited officially by Cody, Cody Elaine
I'm
Oliver, and
interrupting.
Ashley Chea. 2 members of the Mama's Den podcast have invited me officially to go listen to.
No, we're not
No, I'm
listen, be
sorry.
a guest.
To be a guest on.
But let's be clear. Cody Elaine Oliver is not on the Cool Mom podcast.
Oh,
Yes, this is true.
And I-
This is true. You're coming on
Okay.
next. You're scheduled in next.
bye, Cody.
All right.
You done got yourself in
look,
trouble.
Now that we got all that out the way. Let's talk about it because
Okay.
we have been friends for a very long
Yes,
time,
yes.
which is why we can get on here and clown a little
Yes,
bit.
I love you.
I feel like I love you too. And I feel like, you know, Ashley was one of those people when I first came to LA that I met who was probably one of the first real ones.
Yes. Do you
And
remember
me
when
and-
we met?
No, do you?
Yes, it was at an event. It was one of those like mom events. We were the only Black families there because
Uh-huh.
that was typically what happened.
Yep.
That's literally how I saw you around before I actually spoke to you. I think I saw you at like a couple events, but it was like me, you, I can't remember, one other family. We were always the only Black families at these mom events. And so we were all waiting in line. And I heard you say Issa to your husband. And I was like, oh, is your name Issa? And he
do
was like,
remember
yes.
this.
And then I was like, my brother's name is Issa. And then we just start talking where we were from. And then we just clicked. And our kids were up It was
They were playing in some like little cactus garden or something, like little green garden. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I was like, how many you have?
And I think I had
At the time,
two.
you only had 2.
Yeah, I think I might have been just pregnant or just had the baby or something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. Fast forward, Ashley is now a mother of 4 girls.
I am.
4.
Gang, gang.
And I remember, I mean, obviously your first, she's older, so she's like a little bit outside of the pack.
Yeah, Amira.
But then, Amira's what, 15 now?
She's 15, so she's 7 years older than the second child.
And then when that second came,
It's like bloop,
boom,
bloop,
the
bloop,
third
bloop.
came. And then boom, the 4th came. I said, my God, what is happening over there?
I know you were not talking. I know you were not talking.
Mine were all 3 years apart, though. Yours felt like they were, you had at least 2 kids in between.
No, the
my
middles
3.
are 20 months apart, and then the last 2 or 3 years apart.
Yeah,
But it does feel like.
It just felt like it was like back to back to back. And so every time I saw you, I felt like you were pregnant.
I was real big for like 3 years.
I want to talk to you, though, because you're probably one of the few people who I know personally who have truly committed to a life of homeschooling their children.
I did. I have.
And how does that work exactly?
I mean, it's really hard. So Amira is now in high school. So I typically do that, or typically that's what I plan to do, because that's what my mom did with me. She homeschooled me until I went to high school, and then high school I went to public school. So that was always my plan. So Amira is now in public school. And that's what I would do with the other girls. I just feel like it's really important to have that experience before you go to college.
But how are you juggling that? Like, how do you juggle literally homeschooling 4 children?
Well, I'm not homeschooling 4 kids. I'm only doing 3 now.
Okay.
To be fair.
Okay.
So I've only done
Thank you
3
for
at a
knocking
time.
off that one. I
yes,
appreciate
it's important to know that
Yes.
it's only 3 at a time.
3 at a time is your
Yes.
max. 3
Yes, that's where I
kids
tap
homeschooling
out.
at a max. Okay.
Well, actually, so what's interesting is that is where I tap out. So when Amira was still in middle school, I had Azara and Asia, and then I had the baby. So I was like, no. So I hired this girl. Her name is Sophia. She has this school called Wilbur Academy, but it's like a homeschool tutoring situation. So it's not like a physical building. And I found her through Melanie, actually.
Oh,
so
nice.
Melanie Fiona, one of my co-hosts and my friend.
Of the Mama's Den.
Yes, of the Mama's Den. She hired her during the pandemic to help with her child and her friend's child. But she's amazing.
She comes to you.
She comes to your house.
I see.
So she was homeschooling Melanie's son and someone else during the pandemic. And then they obviously, schools opened back up. And so she told me about her. She was like, hey, I know you don't want any help, because I'm always like, I don't need help. I'm going to do it on my own, because my mom did.
You are.
Yes. Yeah. And she was like, but girl, you just had that baby. And I remember I was standing in the kitchen, this was of our apartment at the time. And I was trying to like teach Zara, teach Asia, teach Amira. And the baby was just crying. And I was just like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to cry. And I called my
But
mom.
this is new for you. I mean, I know we're talking about homeschooling. So I know you got help for homeschooling. There was a long period of time where you did not, though.
No, I didn't get that help.
There was a long period of time where you did not, and you were juggling every single thing. Now, asking for help was really hard for you.
Yeah.
And I know that.
Yeah.
What shifted? Was it just
having
that
the 4th
baby?
child? Yeah. I just realized I'm not my mom.
Yeah.
Like my mom was a single mom of 4 kids, and she was able to homeschool us. She used to be a paramedic, so she would like be a paramedic at night, wake up, come homeschool us. She homeschooled a community of children. It wasn't just us.
Wow.
Girl, we had uniforms. We had the Target uniforms before Target.
What?
We had khaki pants and a red polo. Child.
What?
I think they stole that from my mom.
Yes.
Y'all owe her money.
Yeah, for real. For real.
No, but seriously, so she made us wear uniforms. Like we had school from regular hours because she was teaching other people's kids who were working, like, you know, day jobs. So we had to have regular school hours. My mom didn't play. And I learned, my mom was making home cooked meals. She would cook for some of the kids who came to,
Wow.
girl, she did it all. So I'm looking at her like that's my example of how to be a mother. And my mom was single. She didn't have a husband. So I felt like I have this my husband is amazing.
You do. Chea
is the most amazing
down.
man.
He is very involved. He is your partner.
Yes.
In not only personal life, career, everything. You guys work very well together.
And he has a day job, girl.
Yeah.
So like I always like to shout him out, because I think it's important for people to know they look at our lives, you know. But for me and my situation, my husband has kept a day job this entire time, and that's why I'm able to homeschool my children and be creative. And then when the algorithm isn't working or I'm not getting collabs, like we're fine because of him.
Right.
So I just always like to shout him out, because I think sometimes people like get it messed up, and I'm like, no, my husband pays all the bills.
But no, I listen. I think that's good to, like, you know what I mean, make aware, because I think people are under a misconception sometimes that especially now.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it all. You're like the face of the family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you are the outwardly kind of like vision of what the family is. But you guys do work as a unit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm the face of the family. He's the finance of the family. I'm very grateful for him because like there's years where I make so much money. Sometimes I make more money than him. And there's years where I make a fraction of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, thank God that he's consistently kept his job, because if not, we would be like, you know, shit out of luck.
Is there ever any ego?
No, from him or me?
Either.
No, girl, you know, Chea is my best friend. He really is my best. We don't even live and operate in that space. We don't have gender roles in our family. It's weird because we both come from single families. So his dad raised him, but his mother was definitely a part of his life, but he lived with his father. Same way my dad was a part of my life, but I lived with my mom.
Right.
So for us, we are used to seeing our parents. He comes from an immigrant family too, like, you know, that work ethic. And I think it helps us because we're both, he saw his dad doing laundry, doing dishes, those type of things. Obviously, if it's one parent in the house, you see them doing everything.
That's right.
So for both of us, it's just natural to want to do, number one, our biggest hang up was learning to help each other because we both wanted to do everything because that's what we were used to.
The independence.
Yeah. So it's like, I can help you, you can help me. Like, we don't have to do everything on our own.
But this is the wild part because I just literally found this out 2 seconds ago, y'all. Literally 2 seconds ago. That you and Chea were dating 1 month before you found out you were pregnant. And now it's been 16 years.
16 years.
4 babies later.
Married for 9 in October.
That is wild to me.
I know. We knew each other for 4 years though. So it's not like he was a complete stranger. So we were friends for 4 years prior to us dating. We worked together in a call center. I talked to him all the time. So we had a rapport and a level of trust. When I moved to New York, we were just really good friends. My sister had passed away and he just like would check on me and we just built this really deep like connection and we started dating. We just started off as like fun time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oop, I'm pregnant. And yeah, it was like a whole thing.
And hold on. Okay, so y'all started off just like friends, whatever. Like, you know, it was a good time. You guys felt like, you know, y'all were good with each other, whatever.
It was safe. Yeah.
And then pregnant.
Yes. So I feel like these little things matter in this story, especially like if you're a young girl watching this. Number one, we were friends for 4 years. Number two, before we decided to have sex, we both went and got checked up. Number three, I was told I would never have children. I did not get pregnant with my ex. Well, it's not everybody's business, but it does matter. I've only been with 2 people. So my ex, I was with for like 7 years, from teenage years to adult, and then my husband. And so I was like, oh yeah, I definitely can't have kids. Like I know for sure. It's been tried and tested, you know? So the doctor told me that.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. You were this young woman who thought you would never have children.
So, I mean, obviously, it's important to say that because even I've talked to my daughter about this, we weren't using protection.
Yeah.
So it's not like people were like, well, of course you got pregnant. Yeah, but I was told by the doctor I was never going to have children. They told me I had endometriosis.
What did that do for you, though?
I mean, I didn't care. I didn't want kids.
You didn't want kids? You didn't want kids?
No, I just wanted to be a dancer. I just wanted to be a ballet dancer. That's all I cared about. And I was like, maybe I'll meet a man with a kid or like adopt a baby or just be cute.
And you were just cool with that. That's what you were like, that's what you thought life was going to be.
Girl, I have 7 brothers and 4 sisters.
And you were like, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow. Okay, so you find out you're pregnant. Yeah. What's that conversation between you and Chea like?
Oh, it's sad because because me and him were we were just talking about this the other day and like I was crying in the bathroom telling him like, oh my God, I wish that I was able to enjoy my pregnancy, my first pregnancy, because I was 23 and we were really good friends and I care so much about him. I really do. And he did not want to have a baby. And I felt guilty because we both thought it was a safe space. Like we were clean. So we're like, oh, we're going to have a little free for all. It's fun. We trust each other. We're friends like that. We were so young and naive, you know? And so it was just like, I knew that he was managing a rap group at the time and he had dreams and things he wanted to do. And I was trying to live in New York and I had an audition with Alvin Ailey lined up.
Wow.
I know. And I found out I was pregnant and I was devastated, but I didn't know, like, for me, I never even thought about abortion or anything like that.
That's what I was going to ask you. At any point did you think of terminating the
I didn't,
pregnancy?
but then he brought it up. And so I was like, okay, like we didn't talk about this. We never thought this was an option. So I felt compelled to consider it, right? Because he's my friend.
Right.
Above anything else, he was my friend. And we surely were not in love at this time. We were literally just friends having sex.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, oh, okay. And then I was conflicted because my sister had literally died like a year before. So I was just like, a part of me was like, oh my God, I was never supposed to have children. She died. I'm having a baby. And I was like, it's going to be a girl. I just knew it.
And let's just put this in a context too. Ashley's sister was not only her sister, but she was also one of her very best friends.
Yeah, 2 years apart.
She was 2 years apart. They were very extremely close.
Yeah.
And Ashley's sister passed unexpectedly.
Yeah, in a car accident.
In a car accident. And that affected you to
Deeply.
your core too, as well.
Still has.
And exactly. And also, I think it kind of, I would assume in that moment, shifted a lot of things for you.
Oh, for sure.
And how your trajectory went.
Absolutely. Because I think that it's interesting. My mom was always like, if you ever get pregnant, tell me, let me know. I want you to keep the baby. I'll help support you no matter.
She said that
when I was a
from
teenager.
jump. Wow.
She was like, I don't want you to have sex, but if you do and you find yourself pregnant, you can always come to me. I don't want you to. My mom was always like, I don't want you to ever deal with anything on your own. This is an open door. Like, I will accept you no matter what. I'll support you no matter what. She just didn't want us to have some of the experiences she had where she wasn't supported, like with her first baby. So I knew I could tell my mom, and abortion wasn't really an option for me because, number one, I didn't think I would have to, but I always assumed that if I did get pregnant, it was because I would have like been intentional about it, right? So we literally went to an abortion clinic, and when we walked in there, in New York, they had like open hours or whatever it's called. Like, and then when we got there, they were like, yeah, we're not taking any more walk-ins.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I just literally turned and looked at him like, I'm keeping a baby. That was it.
That was your sign. That
yeah,
was your
I was like, I'm
moment.
keeping it back. Because I didn't really want, like, we went back and forth for like over the week. I called him on Friday, girl. And he got on the first thing smoking. He was there later that night. And he was like, okay, we're going to talk about this. And we were just talking and crying. Like, he's telling me his position and I'm telling him mine. And I wasn't against it. I just was against it. Like, it didn't feel right in my heart.
Right.
But I felt so bad. Like, damn, we weren't planning this. So I just felt like, dang, I need to at least, and I didn't fully understand what an abortion entails. So I was like, I will at least go and listen to the information.
Right.
It's not like you walk and get it the same day. Like, they make an appointment, but they have to talk to you first. But even with the talking to you first, they were like, we don't have any more availability. So I was just like, okay, yeah, no, I'm keeping the baby. Like, I just like walked outside, the sun hit me, I looked at him, I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep the baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was Chia's thought on that?
He was so quiet. He didn't say one word. We walked all the way to the car in the hot sun quietly together.
And then how did it shift from that moment? How did it shift to, we're having this baby girl, we are excited, we are happy.
Girl.
This is the best thing that's ever happened to us.
I mean,
because Amir is the best thing that's ever happened to you guys.
1,000%.
How did it shift to that? Because also, I will say, when there is circumstances like that in pregnancy, sometimes it's hard for the mother and the father to shift their perspective into it being a joyous time.
Of course.
And then because of that, how you also bond and see, connect with your child, right? Once thereafter. So for you guys to come into it like this so unexpectedly, so young. You were 23, so it's not like you were like a teenage pregnancy, but like still young
like
in the beginning of your life.
Yeah, I did.
How did it shift?
I mean, honestly, from that moment, I remember we got in the car and he was like, can I drive? And I was like, oh, he about to drive me off a cliff, child. He gonna kill me. And so I was like, sure. And then he drove to a gas station, got out, went in, came back out with a bottle of water, and literally was like, if you're gonna have my baby, you need to stay hydrated. Never talked about it again. We never discussed an abortion ever again from that moment. It was just like, that was it.
Wow.
He just was like, he always tells me to this day, he's like, I'm so glad that you decided for us because I was going to do whatever you wanted to do anyway.
Wow.
And he's like, I'm so glad that you led our family to this, that you had the foresight to know that it was the right decision. He was like, I was going to do whatever. And he was like, I think I was just grateful that you entertained the thought of it. And he was like, but I was going to do whatever you wanted to do anyway.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, look at that. Look how God worked.
I know.
Look how God worked.
I know. But to be clear, it still took us a minute to get there. Like, we were excited when she was born, but we went through a lot. Like, the first 3 years of our relationship were hard because both of our parents are divorced.
I heard you went to therapy. For
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
4
3
years
years.
in. That's the only reason why we're together now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What did therapy do for you guys?
It gave us the tools because, again, his dad is divorced, remarried. His mom's divorced, remarried, whatever. My dad's remarried. My mom's not remarried. But our parents aren't with the people they had us with. So we didn't really have examples of like a healthy marriage anyways, you know? And it gave us the tools to discuss things. It let me see myself in a way that I didn't realize I was, and how to communicate, how to fight fair. It just gave us all of the things that ideally you would learn from your parents growing up, but we didn't. So it was amazing. It just made me realize, like, I want to make this work and I want to see what happens here. You know?
Do you feel like you guys still use those same tools even now, 16 years later?
Yeah, I think we need to go back a little bit. I mean, because I do think sometimes people go to therapy and it helps and they're like, we're good. But life changes. You get older, your career changes, we have more children. And I think just like learning, I don't know. You know what is interesting? I feel like people need parenting therapists.
Yes.
Like more than anything, I think the therapist needs to help us navigate having a teenager and babies and how to communicate with them and that type of thing.
Right. You know, you're damn right, because there's no handbook.
No.
That's the hard part. Like, people can say, okay, therapy for marriage all day. Parenting is a challenge because each child needs something different. Listen, but I will preach all day. I will say it from the rooftops. Marriage is the hardest relationship I've ever had.
Oh, for sure.
1,000%. I
You
mean,
think harder than parenting?
yes.
Oh.
Yes, I think parenting is difficult.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And I don't have a full-blown teenager yet, so I'm sure I'm going to eat these words in
You
a
will.
minute. I'm
It's
going to
fine.
eat these words.
She will.
But I think also marriage for me.
Okay.
Because factoring in another human being into every single thing is just a
That's what you
challenge.
do with it as a parent.
Yeah, I know. Feel like it's different. I feel like as a parent, I lead.
Okay.
I still lead.
Okay.
It's still, and I have to learn how to give and take in that relationship, but I still lead. They will never, or until I'm like, you know, old and need the help, but they not going to lead me.
That's not true.
You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's my job to like make sure Nima has the tools. And I say Nima because she's my oldest.
Yeah.
Make sure Nima has the tools she needs to conquer the world.
How old is she now?
She's just turned 12.
Okay, yeah. So I'll be back in a year and we'll do a follow-up episode where Lizzy's eating her words.
Yes, exactly.
The only reason why I
Get
say
into
that,
it. Tell me.
because as teenagers, they begin to lead. And the reason why is because, and this is the thing, it just depends on what type of parent you want to be, right? Like we come from old school parenting where that's true very much so, that the parent always leads. But I think that going to therapy, being more self-aware of myself, like actually acknowledging the things that worked and didn't work with my mom and the traumas and who I am today, and like thinking back to being a teenager and those moments where I'm like, that's how I got here. This is like, you know, that breakdown. I feel like your children honestly lead you from the moment they come out of you, where they're telling you when you're going to sleep, when you're going to do this and that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like we
perspective.
think that we're
Okay.
leading them, but they're literally leading us. Then they have an interest, right? And then now your weekends belong to them in soccer or them in dance. Like that's not my decision. That's theirs. Do you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that when you surrender, there's this saying that I live by where it says that our children don't belong to us. We belong to them. We will always play the same, we'll always be their mother, right? But we don't play the same role in their life, their entire life, right?
Right.
You think
That's
about a lot of people, because I get after my friends for like ignoring their parents' phone calls. I'm
Oh,
so
I hate that
anti.
too.
Me too.
Me too.
I will
hate
like
that.
literally, I judge people by
Me
that.
too.
Like you're not a good person.
Me too. I'm
Answer
like,
your
hold
mama's
up,
call.
for real.
I don't care if I'm sitting next to Oprah. I'm gonna be like, hold on, girl, my
I
mama
also
calling.
don't care what your mama did. I'll be
No.
like, listen, she still birthed you. Answer the call. Yeah.
Yes. So I feel like, you know, but I think about how I don't have the time for my mom the way I used to. And like, I'm so busy. And sometimes I go, okay, mom, I'm going to call you. Like I answer, but I'm like, girl, these kids, I got to feed them, But like when we were growing up, right, we were their whole life and now we're not.
Right.
So I think about that in the sense of leading, like our children kind of lead us through life in the role that we play in their life. Like they determine that, especially as they get older. And when you have a teenager and you're like going in their room, like, hey, you have to, well, for me, I'm like, come out of your room. Like, I don't play that. I'm like, you're spending time with your family. We're having movie night. We're having family time. You could be a teen, but like engage with your family. But naturally think about when you were a teen where you started to want to spend your weekends doing what? Being with your friends and not your parents.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, ideally, but you relearn yourself so many times as a parent. The same thing, I think that parenting and marriage is equal in that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You have to surrender. That's what I just heard.
Yeah.
You have to surrender. And when you surrender, you begin to learn so much more about yourself. Just also a really quick note. If you're loving this content, our podcast with all of our amazing guests, we love sharing their stories. It really is such a joy for us. Then you're going to love thecoolmom.co. Make sure to head over there. It is everything that you can think of lifestyle. So we have fashion, food, we have amazing interviews with a lot of other cool moms as well. So check out all of our Cool Mom Co features, shop our merch, do all the things. Check out thecoolmom.co. I guess my biggest fear going into parenting a teenager is the influences from everyone else. Where does it come to a point where your, not authority, but your influence over your child shifts to where it's not you anymore, it's the peers and what's around them? Right now, Nima's 12, and I talk about my oldest because she's the one, who's about to jump out there.
Yeah.
But I still influence her in so many ways, from what I wear to what I eat to what I say to where I'm going to who my friends are to what I'm watching on TV to what she sees me scrolling through on Instagram. Any of those things, I'm still influencing her in such a huge way. When does that shift?
I would say it depends on the child, right?
And how do you handle the shift?
Well, I think it depends on the child, and you can kind of tell, right? Like, I have a child now who I'm like, yeah, she's always going to do her own thing. Like, my words are going to be very minimum in her mind. Like, she's just came out the womb where I already could tell, like, her voice is louder than anyone else's, which I love. So my goal with her is more so teaching her to have a good voice in her head and teaching her, like, that's the thing with each child is so different. With Azara, that's the one, my little Virgo baby, my second born. She's a mom. Like, she just came out the womb as a mom. She talks about being a mom now, and like all her sisters live in, she's like, we're all going to live next door to each other and all get married and raise our kids together. Like, she's just,
Stop it.
Yes, this is her. She's like 7 talking about this.
Stop it.
Amira always was like, I'm just going to go live in Paris. Like, I don't want kids. Like, but she is 15 and she calls me her best friend. And I live for that. I think that the influence is just how your family is. You know what I mean? Like, your family, like how you and Issa run your family, I don't think you have anything to worry about. You make it very clear and you can tell, like, your family is priority. You have values in your home and your children are seeing that and understanding that. You and your husband are a team and you're enforcing that. I really believe that's what it comes down to, because my mom was the same way. Like, family was so important. Our relationship and the way she honored me and the way I honor her, I felt the sense of, like, always honoring her in the decisions that I made. I didn't have my first drink until I was 22. Also, my mom didn't drink, so I didn't grow up seeing somebody drink alcohol in our home. So those types of things, like, I see myself now, like, oh my God, I'm just like my mom, you know?
Do you drink in the home?
Not really, no. I mean, I didn't have my first drink until I was 22 and I got pregnant at 23. So I, like, missed that whole train.
Like the whole
train.
That whole life.
Yeah. So, like, I don't have I drink sometimes. Like, I'll have a margarita here and there, but I also have Crohn's disease. So it just doesn't feel good. And I'm at that age now where I'm like, I don't want to eat or do anything that doesn't feel good in my body.
You're also very healthy. You're vegan.
No, so I'm not.
Okay, you used to be.
I was raised vegetarian vegan. I have a plant-based diet primarily, but I do eat fish.
Okay.
And every time I'm pregnant, for some reason,
doesn't that make you a pescatarian?
I don't know. Do you know, people, I don't really like to, I just like to tell people.
If you eat fish and you have mostly veggies, isn't that pescatarian?
I've had a chicken wing before when I was pregnant. Sometimes I would eat a chicken wing because I just really wanted it, but I've never
But you don't eat pork?
I've never had turkey, beef, pork.
You've never had?
Never. No.
Never in your life?
No.
Have you eaten turkey, beef, or pork?
No. And I've only had a chicken wing, to be clear.
And y'all, she from Ohio.
Not a thigh, and I only would eat the flats that are small. Not like a chicken wing, like, you know, you get like a Chinese restaurant or somewhere, like a real big one. No, I would never eat that. That's disturbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, wait a minute. And is that how you guys cook and feed the kids too?
Yeah, we don't eat any meat in our home. There's no chicken, nothing. Like, sometimes I'll just, like, see a chicken wing and I'm like, I want to try it. And then I'll eat it and then my stomach hurts.
But will the kids eat fish though? Yes.
One is allergic, but yes. So one eats shrimp and then the others eat fish. But yeah.
And Chea, your husband, same way?
Yeah. Like, it's funny, when we first started dating, I would make him meat because I was like, whatever, I'm not going to eat it. But then, like, I was like, some point in my pregnancy, the blood, I was like, I can't. You're just gonna have to eat what I eat. And then it turned into him just eating beef at, like, restaurants. And then it just turned into him, like, his body started to, like, release the desire of it.
But does he cook a lot too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he makes bread. He makes breakfast every morning.
What is your go-to breakfast?
I don't know. I don't participate in breakfast in our home.
What is his go-to breakfast?
Oh, oatmeal.
Okay.
He
oatmeal
makes
for
oatmeal.
breakfast. Oh, I hate oatmeal.
Yeah, the kids are hating it too now. I mean, I feel like they've been eating oatmeal every day of their life since they were born.
Like I just can't stand it.
Yeah, they eat oatmeal.
What's the go-to lunch?
Girl, I make whatever I had for dinner as leftovers probably. So soup or something.
Soup
Or rice.
What's the go-to dinner in the house?
Oh, we fluctuate through a lot of different things. We eat a ton of like black beans, sweet potatoes. So I make a lot of Buddha bowls. That's like a big thing in our family. We eat a lot of rice, girl. You know, I'm black and Hispanic. He's Asian, honey.
Yes.
Rice all day, every day in our house.
Okay.
So we eat a lot of rice. Bowls. I would say bowls. I'm making some type of mixture of vegetables and a rice. Roasted vegetables are our jam. Oh, I made this like roasted sweet potatoes, cauliflower, chickpeas, and I put like this, you know that
tahini kind of?
Yeah, it was like a vegan, what is that sauce called? That's like cucumbery and tzatziki.
Oh, yeah,
It was like a tzatziki sauce, and I put a little bit of that crunchy. Have you tried the crunchy onion spicy stuff from Trader Joe?
Oh my God, the crunchy jalapenos?
Oh no, you haven't tried
oh my
the
God,
crunchy onion
the crunchy
oil?
jalapeno is so good too. No, but I haven't tried it.
It's red. It's so good.
Oh, I'm gonna try that.
Yes,
okay.
and I sprinkled that on
I
there.
love
with
a good
little
oil.
hummus.
Yes,
and a little pita. It was good.
Done.
It was good.
Dinner done.
Yeah, no,
Dinner done.
we're just like I'm gonna roast something.
I know that. Listen, I've always thought you were the cutest thing ever, and your body and everything. But of recent, you've taken it to a whole nother notch.
Yeah.
What have you done differently? And I guess it's because you feel like you're done having kids now.
Yeah.
And so you were like, it's time for me to take back control of whatever it is. So what was it that you made the shift that you did to put your body in like where you wanted it to be?
So I've always been super skinny. Obviously, I was a professional ballet dancer. I was skinny in my three pregnancies. So I mean, the most I ever weighed was like 160, and I was at 42 weeks pregnant. So I only gained 20 pounds every time I was pregnant. So I was very fit. I've always been fit. I work out. When I had my third child, I ended up getting Hashimoto's. So that was in 2018. So around 2019, I started gaining back the weight that my pregnancy weight. And I was like, what is happening? Like I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Kept going to the doctor, and they just kept saying like, oh, you're getting older and your hormones. And I'm like, no.
No one could pinpoint it.
No, and they weren't even trying. And I kept trying to tell them something was wrong, and they're like just brushing it off like it's normal.
How did you know something was wrong?
Because I was gaining weight. I've never, like, you know your body and the way I eat. It'd be different if I was like at home eating ho-hos and like Cheetos and stuff and just like every day.
Right.
And I'm like, of course I'm gaining weight.
But you have a pescatarian.
Primarily plant-based diet.
So you knew. So
yes.
So what happened? How
it
did
took
you
4 years.
It took 4 years.
Yes, I always call it my thick girl era. And everybody was like, oh, you look good and you getting thicker. And
I mean, you did look good though.
I didn't feel good.
But you didn't feel good.
I didn't like the way I looked.
Yeah.
But I also told myself, I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to go around. Like, what if I die? This is the last body I have, so I might as well just live my life in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't feel good inside because I felt bloated. I felt stuffed, like a stuffed sausage.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt, because I felt just tight.
Yeah.
It didn't feel good.
So
you know?
how did you get, how was the diagnosis? How did it occur?
I had my fourth child, and I had a new doctor, and she was like looking at my blood work, looking at my tests. She was like, I only gained 15 pounds when I was pregnant with Tata.
Wow.
Because my body was just like already big, and she was like, something's not right. And she went to rub my neck, and she was like, oh, your thyroid is swollen. So then she was like, I'm gonna run a blood test. So normally sometimes they'll just like do a regular thyroid test, but she did a blood test and then ordered an MRI of my neck.
Oh.
And that's how they found it. They did an ultrasound, and they were like, oh, this is autoimmune cause. And as soon as she gave me medication for 2 months, and I mean, it was like night and day. And I was like, I don't want to be on the medication because I just don't like taking like medicine.
Yeah, same.
And she was like, well, there's just like a lot you're going to have to do in order to maintain this without medication, because with Hashimoto's, it makes you gain weight. So it just like,
What are some things you have to do to maintain it?
not eat anything that I want. Like no sugar.
Wow.
No nothing.
Wow.
It's pretty dark.
That is so dark.
Yeah.
But you're disciplined.
Yeah, but if I do, then it'll just like creep back up. Sometimes I'll have like, that's part of me not drinking too. You know what I mean? What basically was what happening in my body is not metabolizing any, like, it's like my body is insulin resistant. So I even had diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, I had diabetes and I didn't even know it. It was a whole thing, girl. It was bad.
Wow. So now
Yeah.
you're on the other side.
Yes, I'm on the other side. So now it's funny. If you met me 3 years ago, people are like, "You're so skinny," and then all my friends are like, "You're back," because they're like, "Oh no, you look like the old Ashley." But a lot of people who just met me, they're like, "Oh my God, you're so small," and I'm like, "No, I was big."
Look, I know, because you were saying it for so long. I was like, why she keep on saying this? Like, why she
Yes.
keep on saying this? But now I get it. It's a
Yeah.
whole, there's a whole backstory behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But good. I'm glad. But
Thank
listen,
you.
this is how I think it's interesting too. You have to speak up. This is the
Yes.
whole thing too, that people talk about their health. And this is one of the things I really want to advocate right now, is that if you feel like something's wrong,
Yes.
you have to speak up, because there is a big, huge percentage that it will go undiagnosed, or
Yes.
that people
Go to multiple doctors. That's what I always tell people. If you feel like you're telling your doctor and they're just brushing it off, and you feel in your body like something is wrong, which is typically, we are inherently aware within our bodies.
Right.
Like, I don't feel good, something's off. And then people just dismiss it, or they'll just give you a little diagnosis and you still don't feel good. Go to like 10 doctors if you have to until you feel better.
Yes.
Don't stop.
I agree. Let's talk a little bit about you professionally,
Okay.
because you are a creative
I am.
and you do a lot of things. But one of the things that was amazing that you've done was the Beautiful, Beautiful Me book.
Thank you.
So Ashley is also, amongst all of her other talents, an author. And she wrote such a beautiful book. And the book really took off,
It
I feel
did.
like, during
The pandemic.
and Black Lives Matter. And when people were really struggling on how to talk to their kids about diversity, or Black people,
Yeah.
or people of color, or whatever it was, Beautiful, Beautiful Me was a great way for parents to introduce or reinforce that with their children. Talk to me about how Beautiful, Beautiful Me came about.
So when Amira was, I think she was like, I wrote the book, I think, in 2014. And so however old she was, you do the math, she was born in 2009. She's like 5 or something. I don't know, sure. And so she was just like looking for books that had people that looked like her in there. And obviously there were none. They were like books that were specifically for Black children, or there were just all the books that had white children in them. There was nothing that really celebrated everyone together.
Right.
So I wrote it. I was just like, I'm gonna write you a children's book, girl. So I wrote it. I tried to pitch it to some companies. Nobody wanted it. And so my husband was like, this is a really good book. Every time you read it to our friends, they love it. He was like, just self-publish it. And I was like, that's a lot of work. And he was like, I got you. And he looked up how to get an ISBN number. He found how to get it print. Like, Chia is my guy.
I mean,
Yeah.
Chia. Can we all have a Chia in our life? Chia.
Not mine, but yes, I hope that for all of you
Find your
ladies.
own.
Yes.
Find your own.
But no, he figured it out, and he just was like, you write it and I'll figure everything. And he did. And he got the book published, self-published or whatever, and then printed. And so for a while in our little bitty apartment in Anaheim, we had like all the books in boxes on our patio, and I'm like shipping them out myself, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So then 4 or 5 years later, the pandemic, right? So the book, I put it out in 2014. I think I had like 1,000 followers at that time. And it slowly would sell. It was selling, it was doing good, but like I ordered, I think, because I got it from China. Like I got it printed in China because it was cheaper. And I was just like, I gotta do what I gotta do.
Yeah.
So you have to order a large amount. So I was like, okay, I'll order like 2,000. It probably took me I know, and they were all on my patio.
Wow.
2,000 books. And it took me probably 2 years to sell all of them.
Wow.
It was just like a slow process.
Yes.
And then the pandemic came around, and some influencer, it was actually a white woman, I don't know her name. I wish I knew her name so I could thank her to this
for
day.
real.
Wherever you are,
For
if you
real.
were the one who found my book, thank you.
If you were
She
the white
changed my
woman who
life.
changed my life, please
Thank you.
DM me and let me know.
Random white woman
I
out
mean,
there.
it always takes one. I'm
Yes,
telling
it
you,
does.
look, people be sleeping.
No,
But look,
allies
it
are
always-
important.
It always takes an ally.
It does.
It takes, and it's usually a random white woman.
It is. And she
who
had like 1
literally
million
speaks up.
followers.
Yes,
And she was like,
exactly.
hey, y'all,
Help
I
make the
found this
change.
beautiful book about diversity.
No way.
I swear to God. Because I didn't know why so many, like I just kept getting like set. And I was like, what? I had like maybe like 400 books just tucked away that like I hadn't been promoting.
Wow.
And years had gone by. And people would ask me about the book and I would sell it randomly. I didn't have it on Amazon or anything. So it was just through like my Square,
Yeah,
whatever.
Squarespace.
Whatever. So I'm just selling it all myself. So then Chia was like, okay, we need to get this book on Amazon. He was like, we got to get this on Amazon. So he put it on Amazon, and I still was doing it though, so I could keep more money. Like I would ship it myself because they'll do everything for you, but you get less back, right?
Exactly.
So he was like, no, we'll still ship it out. And it just kept ticking. I was like, oh my God, to the point where it sold out. But then I ended up getting like 1,000 more orders. So then I was like, okay, we're going to pre-order. And so then it sold out 4 times. I ordered like 2,000 and 2,000 more. So I ended up selling like 10,000 books.
Wow.
And it completely changed everything for me. That's what helped me get my book deal with Penguin Random House.
Wow. So let's talk about that. Because now Ashley's on her second book.
Yes.
But this one's a very different one. This one is not a children's book. This one is very different. This is the Forever Journal.
Yes.
And what I like about this is because my oldest Nima, and this is legit. This is so for real. My oldest Nima loves, I mean, when I tell you loves, her favorite thing to do is to go back into our camera rolls and look at old videos when she was a baby, or when Nima, or when all the kids were a baby. Nyla was a baby, Khalik, any of them. And like my mom, who has now since passed, but like my mom, look at videos, and she will go do that nonstop. And she'll ask questions, and she'll say, oh my God, I remember this, or Mommy, where was this, or like whatever it is. And she loves it. And she's 12.
She might grow up and be like a documentarian or
it's
something.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
So what I love about the Forever Journal is that it takes you back. It asks you questions. And this is the book that the parent can write.
Yep.
Or really anybody, but this is the book that the parent can write. So someone in the family, your children or whoever, can go back and know exactly everything, your thoughts, how you were feeling, what
your
happened.
Handwriting.
All of it. Tell me.
So as we know, my sister passed away in 2007. And she had a 3-year-old son at the time. So when he hit like around 11, he called me and was just asking me all these questions about my sister. And I was like, oh, I wish she would have like left him something. Like I have these handwritten notes from her that she used to write me when we were in college, when people used to do snail mail. And she would just like write me in school, and like 3-page letters like, girl, I'm sitting in here in Mr. So-and-so's class. It's so boring. This girl in front of me's hair looks jacked up. But like this is how people communicated prior to Instagram and social media. So she's obviously jotting all her thoughts down and then mailing it to me. So I have like these letters, and I was like, oh my God, I want to give them to him so he can see her personality and like hear her voice and see her handwriting. And then I was like, I need to make something where people can leave it to their children. So in my mind, I'm like, I wish she would have did this, but she didn't know she was going to die at 24. So like, I'm like, you get this book, to me, it's like the perfect gift for anyone that's pregnant, honestly. And you fill it out as soon as you can, right? Because you never know how long you're going to be here. But then for us people who still have their parents that are living, or still like us, we're younger parents, right? Fill it out now. Like, we're still here. And the idea is that you just tell your story so that your child has it. And I thought about like Cody, her father passed away before she got married. My cousin Nala, her dad died right before she got married. And I remember both of them just talking about, these are things that I wanted to like ask my dad, or like, I have friends who've lost their moms before they had children. So they're like, I never got to ask her like these type of things. So I try to be really intentional with the questions that are things that your child would actually want to know as they grow up.
I mean, honestly, I will say this. I wish I'd had this book when my mom was alive. And I'll also say, for anyone listening, and I mean this, and I'll promote things here and there. I will. I'm not gonna lie. But from the bottom of my heart, I truly believe this is a book that every single household should have. Whether you are a father, a mother, a brother, a sister, whatever it is, an uncle, an aunt, a grandparent, whatever it is. This is a book that I think every household should have, because people forget. The sound of the voice, I forget sometimes. My mom now, right? I forget the sound of her voice. But there's just little things that I know, like she would say. Her cookbook. She left me a cookbook.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But it's the little things
Yeah.
that I would always want my kids to be able to reference back to, or like know about me, or whatever it is. Or maybe it's even like private things that I would want them to know after I've passed.
Yes.
You know, but it's just such a special book. And I like, as soon as I got it, I was like, oh my God, this is so special, and it's so joyous, and it felt so intentional.
It is. It really is. Like, and I want to encourage fathers to fill it out too. It's not just for moms. And I have friends whose grandparents raised them. Like, there's really only like one small section that's like about the child that essentially is like where they were born and that type of stuff and like your experience when having them. But I also still made the questions, like if you go back and look, I thought about people that were adopted, that their parents raised them, their aunts, their uncles. I try to make it as gender fluid as possible. That's why it says like my partner, because I'm thinking about families all look different.
That's right.
You know,
They
all
do.
look different. And it's funny that you brought up this not being like a children's book. I think it's important too, like for people that are following their dreams. I actually pitched the second book, which is Beautiful Family, to Beautiful Me, but it just didn't get picked up. And then my agent was like, well, what else you got under your belt? Like, she's like, we can revisit some of these things. And I was like, I have this journal that I really want to do. Told her about it. And it's ironic, the girl who works for Penguin, I had to shout her out. She's so amazing. Her name is Sahara. She was just like, her mother had passed away as well. And she was like, I wish that I would have like had this book, you know?
That's right.
And so then she was just like, this is so important. And she just really believed in it. And it got picked up and everyone loved it.
Yes.
And
where can people get it?
you can get it everywhere. You get it on Amazon. You get it on Barnes and Nobles because it's published by Penguin Random House, girl. I'm not mailing it out from my patio.
This one official, y'all.
Yes.
This one official.
Yes, finally.
But you can still get the Beautiful, Beautiful Me.
No, so Beautiful Me is, I don't have any more copies. What? I might have like one rando copy somewhere.
Girl, you need to order another 2,000.
I know. The idea is that I really want to talk to my publishing company about republishing it through them. I don't want to mail any more books out myself. I know.
It's a
kids.
hustle. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
It's a hustle, which you should. I think you should republish it.
Yes,
That would be a great idea.
I think so. That's the goal.
What else is going on with you that you need everyone who's listening right now to know about?
Oh my gosh. I mean, obviously we're doing the Mama's Den, which I love. The podcast is so amazing. And it's just been like such a joy doing that every week and getting away from my kids. But really right now I'm just working on writing, you know, like me and Cody still working on this TV
All the
show.
scripts, yes.
Girl, still trying to get this TV show picked up. But, you know, everything happens when it's supposed to. And just my writing, I'm working on some graphic novels and, just books.
I love it. You heard it here first. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I love you.
I love
see
you, too.
you, and I'm inspired by you daily. I truly am.
I just want to tell you how proud of you I am. No, I really am. You work so hard. You have been through a lot and you still show up, you smile, you give so much to the world when I feel like you could have retreated and been like, no, like I'm done.
I have retreated.
No, but you're not, though.
You know that.
I know, but you have and you haven't. You're still showing up and you're creating and you're showing your daughters how to work through grief, how to work through adversity. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I just want to tell you that I am always rooting for you. I admire you so much. You know, you're one of my favorite people. Anything you do, I'm a support, I'm a promote, and I just love you so much.
Same. Look, I definitely, I have a girl crush on you too.
Oh, girl.
And everyone,
fully.
Honestly, follow this one, Watermelon Egg Rolls.
Yes.
Which, why don't you change your name to your name? Your handle.
I don't know. I love Watermelon Egg Rolls. You know, in my mind, it's just going to be like a brand in Target that is like books and one day maybe some Tupperware. I don't know.
I love it.
Just whatever my mind can think
right.
of.
Wherever the universe takes you.
Yes.
Look, Watermelon Egg Rolls, she always has the most thoughtfully curated captions.
Oh,
She speaks truly from her heart. And I'm acting like you're not here. You speak truly from your heart.
I mean, I am, but I'm not.
So make sure you go and follow her on Instagram.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on to the Cool Mom Code podcast.
I love you.
1 down, 3 more Mama's Dens to go.